Alright, to stay with the theme of my channel, I figured I would start this video out from the motorcycle. And man, it's cold out, 39 degrees. But it's, we're moving toward the end of November. There's no ice on the ponds, no snow on the ground, and Thanksgiving is Thursday. So this will be one of my Stolen Valor episodes, and like I said, I'm starting it off from on the motorcycle. And today we're going to talk about a gentleman who had posted some wedding pictures on Facebook back in, I want to say it was 2014. And I got involved with this background investigation pretty heavily. The photographs were seen on Facebook, wedding pictures. He's wearing an army dress blue uniform with a whole rack of ribbons, staff sergeant, service stripes, combat stripes, a tan beret because he said he was a ranger, airborne wings, CIB, a whole bunch of stuff. And when you look at the guy, you kind of go, yeah, he's a turd. Well, they weren't wrong. John Leela from thisain'thell.us filed an FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, and got back a summary sheet where this guy was a turd in a punch bowl. He was in the North Carolina National Guard, was an E3, and it appears that he never finished any of his training to be an infantryman, and was no longer in the National Guard. So, after I found out that he was in the North Carolina National Guard, I made contact with the North Carolina National Guard and did a Freedom of Information request for his National Guard records. And I spoke with a lieutenant. I identified myself. I'm a retired Master Sergeant MP, and we're doing a little investigation on this guy. This is what he's claiming, and would like to get copies, redacted copies of his records, just to see exactly what he did do. Well, the lieutenant sent me a big envelope about a ½ inch thick, and it had everything, his enlistment contracts. Of course, everything's redacted for personal information like PI, your social security number, stuff like that. But yeah, he was a turd in the punch bowl. So he got called out on it, and then he had some fake sock puppets show up on the website saying that they served with him in the Ranger Battalion and all this other stuff. I mean, this guy took it to the extreme. And I'll throw some of the photos up, as well as some of the Freedom of Information Act info. And I think what I'll do is I'll continue my commentary from inside the studio. So back to the studio. Okay, so now that we're back in the studio, let's talk a little bit about William Derrick Church. He popped up on the radar in January of 2014. This was the first article on him. And it all, like I said, I said while I was out on the bike, it came up from some wedding photos. So here's a picture of him. I don't know how many of you know how you're supposed to wear a beret, but that is not the way you're supposed to wear a beret. It's dressed over the wrong eye. Actually, it's kind of dressed over the center of his face. He got the nickname the Round Ranger, and that's how this proceeded. And this went on for, I don't know, about 3 years. Here's the other picture of his wedding picture. And here's what John got back. John Leela, he's the one that started This Ain't Hell. And now it's Valor Guardians. John passed away in 2018. And it's called valorguardians.com now. You can go on there and find all kinds of phonies. They got tons of them, and you can read to your heart's content. And this guy went so far as to come up with a sock puppet on Facebook by the name of Will Chamberlain. Some of you older people might remember Wilt Chamberlain. He was a Harlem Globetrotter and a super basketball player back in the day. But he came up with this to try and bolster his claims. So this guy claims to have served with him and all this other crap, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, it was pretty obvious that Will Chamberlain, when you did a little bit of investigating on Facebook on this Will Chamberlain, it was a brand new account, really didn't have anything on there. So it was kind of a BS entity that was trying to validate Church's claims. So if we go back, oh yeah, and this got really crazy. There was a community forum for Lenoir, North Carolina, which is where this guy lives. Well, there's also a guy who was pretty active with This Ain't Hell as far as some of the Stolen Valor stuff, who lived in Lenoir, North Carolina. I'll show you some pictures of it. He made up a wanted poster for this guy for Stolen Valor, and he had it in the Lenoir, North Carolina post office, set up on a counter in there. It's hilarious. And this just went crazy. So then, good old Churchy here, he gives us an apology. Here he is in Hooters wearing a Ranger shirt. He says that he finally fessed up to it, said, I'll take my uniform and I'll give it to this guy, our associate with This Ain't Hell. Well, that never happened. Then he said he turned it in to Goodwill, gives us a Goodwill receipt. That gets posted. Of course, the same day it got dropped off at Goodwill, somebody bought it. And once again, I'm sorry for the hurt, disrespect, and mess I have caused. But it just continued to go on and on. He was still driving around with his truck with a Ranger tag on the front, Airborne, 82nd, all this stuff all over it. And it just went on and on. Here's the wanted poster that was actually in the post office in Lenoir, North Carolina. Man, the guy did a great job making up the wanted poster. It was pretty funny. And it was basically like a fraud thing, Stolen Valor fraud thing. And this was shortly after the Stolen Valor Act changed to where, it's our First Amendment right to play dress up, but it's also our First Amendment right to tell the truth. And that's how this all came about. Okay, so to proceed on, after John got his records from NPRC, and we found out that the only thing he was in the National Guard, North Carolina National Guard. So I fired off the Freedom of Information Act request and got this big giant packet of all of his stuff, including a redacted copy of his DD-214, which doesn't have very much on it. And also his National Guard Bureau discharge as well. Let me see if I can find those pictures for you. Then he resurfaced again. Here's the wanted poster again. He surfaced again in 2017. 4 years later. Here he is with another Ranger shirt. Okay, here we go. Here's his redacted DD-214. And if you look at it, he's got nothing. 0-0. He didn't even complete enough time to actually be on active duty to be considered a veteran. There was also rumors that he was applying for VA benefits, which I think that got shut down pretty quick because the VA Office of the Inspector General was notified. And I guess he had put in a claim, but I believe it was shut down before anything happened with it. Yet another picture of him with the Ranger shirt on. Here he is with an 82nd hat and airborne wings, none of which he earned. Here's his National Guard Bureau discharge. And, yep, about 18 months total. But he was never classified because he never had an MOS. He never finished school. So this guy went to all kinds of extremes to make everybody believe that he was this Army Ranger and Purple Heart recipient. And as soon as we saw the pictures, we knew you almost didn't even have to get his records because the uniform was just so jacked up in such a mess. But he's just one of many, many Stolen Valor phonies that are out there. And, you know, if you could prove that they are receiving something for being a veteran, then, of course, a Stolen Valor charge can be filed. But the original Stolen Valor Act of 2005 has been pretty much watered down with the 2013 version. So now it's basically, you know, we come out and we tell the truth. All right, well, that pretty much sums up everything in regards to William Derrick Church. Now, I have looked up Mr. Church on Facebook as of recently. I did manage to find him. He's got absolutely nothing to do with any military whatsoever on his Facebook page. So I'm really hoping and thinking that he's learned his lesson. So with that, I'll just close out the video for today, and I'll close it out on the bike. Hey, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the little bell to get notifications of any new media I upload. And as always, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down, and have yourself a great day.